against humanity. The rampant war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by the Taliban should be investigated. Adequate evidence from domestic and international bodies highlights these atrocities. Fourth, prevent brutal suppression by the Taliban. Taliban's brutal tactics, including the forced displacement of indigenous population and the relocation of regional and global terrorists to expand terrorism and control people in various parts of the country, should be determined and terminated. Fifth, impose international sanctions on the Taliban regime. Each trip made by Taliban abroad facilitates the recruitment and spread of global terrorism, a serious warning for the world. Hence, we expect enforcement of international sanctions against Taliban regime, maintaining the groups and its leaders listing in terrorist organizations and banning their travel outside the country. 6. Cut off humanitarian aid access for the Taliban. Taliban's access to global humanitarian aid meant for the Afghan people should be swiftly halted. Evidence shows that the Taliban divert a significant portion of this aid into bolstering their military and economic capabilities and support other terrorist groups. 7. Adopt global and practical policies to eliminate all forms of discrimination. Policies to eradicate all forms of ethnic, linguistic, religious, and gender-based discrimination in the country should be implemented. 8. Restore Afghanistan's UN seat to its own people. The UN representation seat should be returned to the people of Afghanistan to serve as the sole international platform for 40 million individuals now under the control of a terrorist group. 9. Establish mechanisms for dialogue and transnational government formation. Practical mechanism for dialogue with the Afghan people regarding the formation of a transnational government should be facilitated. Increasing external pressure on the Taliban will heighten internal and public pressure on this group, paving the path for establishing a transnational government. Number 10, implement transnational justice process. More than half of a century of human rights violation should be addressed to acknowledge the suffering and the grief of war victims and their families. Without persecuting war criminal, lasting peace will not be achieved, and the ongoing crisis in Afghanistan will pursue. Promote decentralization and democratic structures. The decentralization of power in the country and aid in creating a democratic structure that guarantees the existing diversity throughout the country should be emphasized. This structure should enable various ethnic, religious, and class groups to see themselves represented and prevent exploitations by the central authorities. 12. Ensure the rights of women and sexual minorities. Rights of women, together with sexual minorities, should be ensured, as they are largest victim of structural discrimination in the country. Number 13, bringing fundamental changes in educational, health, security, and defense system in favor of the people. In conclusion, we reiterate that any form of negotiation and dialogues that do not consider these fundamental and legitimate demands of Afghan people are a blatant deal with terrorism. We stress that ignoring these demands will soon turn Taliban-ruled Afghanistan into the headquarters of global terrorism. Currently, dozens of terrorist groups operate in this country, running schools, military training camps, and planning terrorist attacks. We firmly declare that the only way to combat insecurity in Afghanistan and the region and the world is to eliminate the Taliban and grant political power to the rightful source, the Afghan people. These people, whose voices, wills, and efforts for achieving development, peace, and democracy have never been recognized as part of the global community, have always thought and will continue to seek a human and peaceful coexistence with themselves, the region, and the world, hoping for freedom and justice.